Hi, I'm Crystal Schultz, your trusted mortgage advisor. Buying a house might be the biggest financial investment you will ever make. That means that it is the most important. Knowing what you're doing and why you're doing it is the biggest thing that you can do to start your financial journey into home ownership. You might be asking yourself, should I buy a home? Where should I buy a home? Isn't a home a liability versus an asset? Why would I invest all of my savings into a home? There might be so many questions for you as to why you would buy a home or how you would buy a home, and I am here to take the time to answer those questions. So let's get started. You might first ask, where should I buy a home? As a loan officer, I'm going to advise you to first buy a home in where you live because of a couple of reasons. You're going to get the best interest rate, the lowest down payment, and the best loan programs available. Now, if where you live is some major metropolitan city or somewhere you're not planning to stay, then you probably don't want to buy a home there. And you might want to consider renting. There are situations where renting can be beneficial over home buying. You could look into buying a home in a smaller town or an up-and-coming area as an investment property, or you could have future plans to live somewhere and you could buy a home as a second home and eventually occupy it, or you could move and buy a home, just wait and rent until then. So as for where you could buy a home, if you're going to be buying, my first answer will be where you live, work, and play. Then we have other questions. How do you qualify for a home? The first step to qualifying for your home will be to meet with a loan officer or a mortgage advisor like me. We'll sit down and we'll go over your credit, income, assets, and your liabilities. That means we're going to check into your credit, and yes, that is a hard pull. There is no way that you can get pre-qualified for a home loan without a hard credit inquiry, so be prepared for that. You're going to be checked on your assets, so we're going to take a look at where your down payment and closing costs are coming from. By the way, those are going to run you from anywhere from 3% for a down payment plus 2.5% closing costs up to 20% down plus closing costs. Sometimes you can negotiate those closing costs with sellers, but usually in a seller's market that's difficult. So you're going to want to make sure that you have some savings or a gift or some other source of down payment. We're going to also check into your liabilities. We're going to see how much every month that you owe, because what we're coming up with is a debt to income ratio. So once we check into your liabilities, we're going to see also then your income. And we're going to take a look at how long you've been on your job and what kind of income you have. Everybody is paid in different ways. Some people are paid hourly. Some people are just paid a salary. So that can make an impact on your loan qualification. Also, if you're paid any sort of bonus, commission, tips, overtime, we're going to actually need to see that and a history of it for 2 years to even use it. If you're working at a part-time job, same thing. We're going to need to see a history. However, if you're coming out of graduate school and you get into a job with a salary or a full-time position, you will be in a position to have the work history to start, and we can use that income right away. So there's all different kinds of income. So that's why meeting with a loan officer, running your credit, checking your liabilities and your assets, and most importantly, your income is super important in the qualification phase. Now you might hear that term DTI thrown around a lot, and that's going to be your debt to income. Like I said, it's going to be all of your payments. So it's going to include auto payments, credit card minimums, student loan payments, and that housing expense, and it's going to be a ratio over your income. So that's gross income. So your limit on that is going to be anywhere from 35% to 50%, and I've actually seen it not work at even lower DTI. So that's why it's super important to meet with your loan officer, because there's always going to be different scenarios for every single person. Currently, when we're looking at your student loans as a liability, even if you're in deferment or forbearance, we need to use some dollar amount as a liability monthly for that student loan. So keep that in mind when you're coming in to qualify. If you're in forbearance, we still have to have a figure that we're going to use against you for liabilities. Okay, so you've gotten pre-qualified for your house and now you're in contract. Let's walk through the process. You've picked your realtor, you've picked your house, negotiated a contract. Now you come back to me, your loan officer. We're going to sit down, go over all the loan programs once more, find the one that fits you best with the best interest rate, and then we're going to send you out all of your loan disclosures. You're going to go ahead and agree to all those terms. We're going to order what's called an appraisal. Now, this is the big determining factor of the home value. The appraisal is actually ordered by the bank. through an AMC, which is an appraisal management company. That company then hires an appraiser to go out and assess the property. They use what are called comps, sold properties within a mile or so of the subject property that you're buying, to determine the value of that. They'll adjust your appraised value by things like pools, upgrades, downgrades, any sort of adjustment they make, but that's how they come up with your appraised value. Now, the one thing about the appraised value is if it comes in low or high, we can only lend on that appraised value. So let's say that you're going to put 3% down. We can lend you 97% of the appraised value up to the conventional loan limit. Okay, you might be teetering on if this house you're going to buy is an asset or a liability. Well, here's what it is. It is an asset with liabilities. So regardless of what property you own, you will have liabilities. You'll have taxes, insurance, HOA, and most likely a mortgage. So there is a liability. However, typically you're going to always have equity. So that makes it an asset. And that equity is quickly appreciating at this point in time. However, sometimes it'll go down. Over time, it gradually goes up, and it's an appreciating asset. And the liability should go down as you pay down your home loan, your mortgage. You'll always have those maintenance expenses of taxes and insurance, HOA where it applies. When's a good time to buy? Let's say that you're gainfully employed, you're comfortable in your budget, and you're paying your rent on time every month, and you have a little bit of savings. You're probably in a good position to buy if house prices are manageable and interest rates are good. You're going to want to meet with a loan officer and likely a realtor and other advisors to see if now is the time for you to buy. But if you are in a comfortable position, it's probably a good time to start buying and paying down a mortgage versus paying rent.